Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters for this special segment of All Things Indie, where myself, host Adam Torres, and my co-host Stephen David Brooks bring on once a month somebody in the independent world, whether it's film, music, or otherwise. And today you are in for a treat. So today we have Scott Hillier on the line, and he is, Hillier. We'll talk about that in a moment. But he's the founder of ECU, the European Independent Film Festival. Some people in the US may know it as ECU. Stephen, first off, welcome and thanks. And Scott, welcome everyone.
Welcome to great to be with you guys.
Yeah, good to see you, Scott.
You too, man. You too.
So normally I like to start off these episodes, but Stephen always brings these phenomenal guests. So I'm just going to turn that right over to you, Stephen. So let's talk about Scott and getting him on the show.
Yeah, well, I met Scott back it was 2005. I was on a busy street corner in LA and I got a really scratchy phone call from an Australian woman named Rhiannon, later known as Rhiannon Hobbins. And she was saying something about my film Heads and Tails, which is here, and then in Paris. And I'm thinking, Paris, Australia? It's like, what is going on here? And it was a terrible connection. And she eventually goes, Scott wants the film. Scott saw the film. Scott wants the film. So, and your emails are bouncing back. So we eventually connected through email. And next thing I know, I'm in Paris and we're screening. I remember walking into the theater and Scott was preparing everybody and was rehearsing his opening night speech, which is epic. If anybody gets into this festival, go to the festival. You have to go and just hear Scott's opening night speech. It's so inspirational. And I've heard a lot of opening night speeches from film festival heads, and Scott's is absolutely at the top of that list. So I played Heads of Tails played in 2005, and I went back in 2015 with Flytrap, which is right here. And this time won Best Non-European Independent Film. And anyway, Scott and I have been friends ever since. And I really admire what he's doing. He's very much in the center of the indie film world and promoting true indie film. I mean, people who scrape together the money and, borrow from friends, put it on credit cards. I mean, that kind of gritty, tell your story as best you can, given the means available. And if you do, and you do it well, you can get into a festival like ECU, European Independent Film Festival, and show it to an audience.
Well, that's the best intro I've had for a long time. I just want to point out to Adam and to anybody listening and watching us, we're in the presence of a unique cinematic storytelling genius of our times, and that's Stephen David Brooks. Because, I'm an independent filmmaker who just runs a couple of film festivals, but when you see a film that the soul bleeds from the screen, and that's what Stephen does and what he brings to audiences, because I firmly believe that stories are the fabric of our souls. And Stephen and all of we've been running for 21 years now. And
wow.
I believe that stories are the fabric of our soul and we all need them, and how people get them and whatever. And we're just lucky enough, again, I'm a jobbing film director, but I run 4 film festivals now because in 1999, I won the New York Independent Film Festival. And I've got this little certificate in my office. It changed my life because I had people actually go, I was a war cameraman for several years. So I knew I've been around the block a couple of times. But when your peers look at a work of fiction that you've done, and you've lied and cheated and stole and done everything you can to gather the camera. And yes, of course, I'm going to be paying everybody in mountains of pizza and beer and whatever. And you make that story and you cry with frustration because no one gets you. And then, it's death on a stick. And then all of a sudden you play the film and everything that you've believed in bounces back at the screen. And, as a film director, and Stephen knows this very well, our job is to put the right picture and the right sound in the right place to create an emotion or response. That's what we do. And when you get it right, it's... I've just done a skydiving course. I'm a certified parachutist now. That's an amazing feeling. But still the feeling of watching your film through to the end and people applauding, not because they know you're there, but it's touched something inside them. Oh my goodness, you win.
Dang, I see what you mean, Stephen, about the opening speech. How do you
exactly.
follow that one up? That's insane, Scott.
Exactly.
Come on. I see what you mean. I want to go to the festival just to hear the opening speech now.
But if I could just beg a couple of minutes of your time.
Yeah.
I mean, Right, my film festival, I pay for it myself with submission fees and whatever, and I do it because it's right and good. And Stephen knows this very well. There's no BS in what we do. We're filmmakers that run film festivals, and I know a lot of film festivals that I've been to that not every film festival guy that started a film festival watches every film that comes in. I do.
Wow,
I'm morally obliged to do that.
Wow.
And it keeps my ideas fresh and new, because I'm at the apex of what's happening in the independent film festival world, the film making world. And 6 years ago, we started the same version of ECU in Asia, because there's some films in Asia coming out. My goodness, because we all know the Hong Kong, we all know this. I've got films coming out of places that you just like go, wow, Uzbekistan, some really indie stuff from China, incredible. And then 3 years ago, I started one in Africa. Why I spent a lot of my life as a war camera in Africa, where it wasn't very nice. But I've gone back to Kigali, and I'm watching. I'm like the luckiest guy in the world. I'm in the front seat of a car hurtling down the road, and I'm watching these young kids, African kids. There's a billion of them, by the way. There's a billion African. The population's a billion people. But they're searching for their voice. And it's like, I'm so blessed. I'm watching these films because they've gone off the Nollywood. They don't want to copy Hollywood. They don't want to do this. They're just searching for their voice. And I can see it. And it's like, I've got a film that I played this year, Stephen, and it's on I also, because I'm doubly stupid and I have no time, I run the European Independent Film Channel, which is euroifc.com. I have a film that I got from Cote d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast, 2 years ago. I have never, ever seen anything like it in my life. And I'm old as a dinosaur. And I've never seen anything like it. It's a film called Deja Nu, euroafc.com. It's up there. It's free. It's legal streaming. My office is full of 20 to 25-year-old interns from all around the world. Stephen knows it well. They're all dedicated. They're all driven mad by storytelling and cinema. They're never quiet. Kids these days aren't quiet. Okay, we're old. I guess our jaws get sore. That's why we're quiet. These guys were fixated, flummoxed, had no idea.
Wow.
And that's the joy that I have. And again, I didn't make the film, but I have the opportunity to share it with people. And I showed it in Asia. Obviously showed it in Africa. I showed it here. The French and the Europeans, that we have a very big global audience, but many Europeans were flabbergasted, because they'd never seen anything like that. And I'm just like they're congratulating me. I'm like, no, this is the guy that did it. And so anyway, so we run 4, and in 3 weeks' time, I'll be in Mexico City running the All America's Independent Film Festival. It's in Mexico City. It's the second year. Films from Venezuela. When was the last time you saw a film from Venezuela? I had a Peruvian music video. I mean, things like this that you're never going to see it on the back of your seat of an aeroplane, or see it on Netflix or whatever. But I'm telling you now that it's touched me my life is better having seen these films. I should be quiet now.
See what I mean by the inspiration? I mean, how can you not listen to that? And
I love what you're talking about going to other markets too. So like Africa and other places like that. I want you to expand a little bit on that concept of finding voice. And I'll tell you why. So in my day-to-day, I do a lot on the podcasting side. So I probably circle the world maybe at least once a day. And I do a lot of interviews in Africa. And I also interview a lot of people in Africa. And when I look at some of these other markets, to me, and I've written about this quite extensively, like this is the first time in history that all of us really have an opportunity to express our voice and to have that accessibility to do it. In the past, maybe it was only the people with a certain amount of money or income or influence or whatever, not to get into all that, but it just wasn't accessible. But now, me hearing you say that through film as well, I didn't really know that part. That's not my day-to-day. Can you expand on just like what that means about being able to represent different voices, or just have people find voices that maybe wouldn't have been able to tell their stories in the past?
Well, I think first of all, it's technology. I mean, that's the obvious. But I'll circle back on that and just say, you can have an iPhone and you can do this and do nothing with it. It's the drive. It's the inner drive. And I think that's what's really helping them. They're exposed more and more to it. But, oh man, I got to say, I think it's not just the technology, but because they can do it. Because you can shoot a film, you still have to edit it, you still have to get music and whatever. So it's still the dedication. It's 3 steps easier than what Stephen and I used to do, where you'd have to get someone to roll a film camera. But I got to, again, I'll go back to the fact of I spent a lot of my life in Africa, like making documentaries with the Bushmen in Namibia and stuff like that. You know what we used to do after you'd like hike for 25 kilometers with them through the thing and like drink a tiny bit of water out of an ostrich egg that somebody had buried 2 weeks beforehand? Is they'd sit around and tell stories because there's no TV. There was none of that. They were telling stories. So when I go to Africa and I run my little film festival and whatever, I'm like, listen to your grandparents, listen to your grandfather, go back and all those stories, put them on film. You know, you don't need the big budgets. And I'm judging the African festival right now, and I've just done a film from Ethiopia, which I know very, very well. And it's just a case of, do I run or do I go to school? And, it just stuff like that. It seems simple, but to them, that's their life. That's their way out. So, I'm a huge fan of Africa, and I literally am on the front seat of watching them. No, we don't do it this way. We do it this way. And you know what it's like when you have a young employee or a young friend or your daughter or whatever, they're doing this, they're hitting the guardrails the whole time. But when they do it and they hit those little tin pins at the end of the thing and it's a strike, you're like, my goodness, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I mean, the other thing, the beauty of it is just taking the really overall view is that with so many different people from different parts of the world able to tell their stories and get them shown, it reveals how much we all have in common. All you ever hear about is what we don't have in common, our differences, our conflicts. And deep down inside, the artists with the vision are going to tell stories. We go, oh yeah, well, your Namibian grandmother, my grandmother used to do that too. I mean, it's universal, right? And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, that's the singularity of telling a good story. Right. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, no, it's a great thing. The film festivals are, a sideline to what I really do, which is making films. But it's the pleasure of it. And I struggle a bit with this just by saying it, but we help to change people's lives. And none of us take that lightly in my office. But on Sunday night on the 16th of August, we'll stand up on stage and we'll present the best independent film from the Americas. And we're going to present best independent film director from the Americas. Now, that is going to change that young kid's life because he's going to go to a producer in LA or in Mexico City or in Sao Paulo and say, hey, I just directed the best independent film from the Americas. And then we're going to see another story because as independent filmmakers, we're like the boxer or the UFC guy who gets punched repeatedly in the head and is bleeding, and we're still stupid enough to stand up to
career aspirational goals. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, because that's what we do. You knock down your beat, you've got no money.
Absolutely.
Your wife and your kids don't talk to you, and you're locked in a room and you're swearing at yourself because why didn't you get that shot? And all of a sudden, you play it. People love you. They go, wow, I didn't know that. And you're like, well, that's what I had in my head 6 months ago. And they're like, yeah, we could have expressed it better. I'm like, nobody listens to me.
6 months, like 5 years, 5 years ago. I mean, it takes that long. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you do it and you're telling your story to people and they come up to you and, my films, and I know Stephen does the same, and my films in the festival, my films personally is like, I want you to love it or hate it. Because if you come to me and say, I thought the music was great, I'm going to go and jump off the Eiffel Tower because that's not the point. The music's going to help me tell the story, but it shouldn't be the main thing. Right. And so we go through that where in my bullshit little thing that I do on the opening night, I say that we're film directors. We're riven by self-doubt and lack of confidence, and we have skins this thin, but we're determined. And we're going to do this, and we're going to do it, and we're not going to be rude, and we're not going to be horrible, but I know exactly how this is supposed to look. And you gather your friends and your family and whatever cash you can, and you do it, and it works, and you get beaten up, and you're laying bloodied on the mat, and you get up, you have those 5 minutes of, wow, you get it. And also, some people don't get it, but that's fine. But the people that get it really get it. And then you get one more punch in the face and you get up and you do it again. And that's how I equate, independent filmmaking.
Well, I think the key to the storytelling is not wanting to tell a story, it's needing to tell a story.
So deep inside.
What does that mean, Stephen, when you say that?
With myself, when I come up with an idea, like I'm writing a new script now, it's not because I want to tell that story. It builds up inside me like a pressure, and I have to express it. That's why I'll never talk about what I'm writing, because if I talk about it, the pressure's gone. It's
Oh.
just this deep. And I also think, just on a philosophical level, I always feel like I'm channeling an idea from elsewhere. And a lot of creatives will say that. They go, I didn't think of that. It came to me. But it comes to you with a voice that says, you have to tell this story. You have to. This is why you're here on this planet, to tell this story. That's what I mean by need. It's an obsession, because that's what allows you to put up with getting bloodied and getting 99 no's for every yes, and putting up with people who read the script and go, I don't get it. You have to push through all of that because this need pushes you forward. The need to express that particular story.
And I think that pushes you so hard that you become a bore about it. So you end up talking non-stop about it. But I think the idea of what you're saying, Stephen, it doesn't come from you. I read a lot of poetry, weird as that sounds. But, Alfred Lord Tennyson, the Ulysses, he said, we are a part of all who we have met. And I think that when you sit down and write that, you've got every book, every experience that comes out, and it's there. And also the fact is that nobody understands us. And it took me a long time to be cool with that. But I'm just like, okay, I'm the weirdest person that you know, but I know a lot of things. I've been to a lot of places, and if I say I'm going to make a film, I'm going to make a film. And then it just overwhelms you. You have to tell this story. And yeah.
When you get this idea that I don't know if you use these exact words, Stephen, and Scott, yourself too, I'd love to hear about your process as a director, or storyteller overall. But when you get that idea in your head, is it kind of like a love-hate relationship? Like you're like, I got to do this now. Or is it like, I get to do this? Or, because for me, I'll tell you right now, that's a part, I never heard it described like that, but that pressure. And that's what I do with books. And I'll tell you, I got one in my head right now. It's a hate relationship right now. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, but I know it's
so
happen.
bad.
It's already there.
But no, for me, not wanting to do it is never an issue. I do it. And, I've never had writer's block. I've never, if I'm working on an idea, even if I go through the day and I only write 2 words, or I just think about what I wrote yesterday, I've accomplished something. I just keep going forward. And I just know it's going to be great. Whether it is or not is beyond my control. But I just feel like this is a story that I'm being told to tell. It really feels like someone behind me going, do it. Got to do it. You got to do this. And yes, as Scott would say, we do sound crazy, but this is, but other creatives get it. Other creatives get it, right?
You always got to be a bit crazy and also a bit scared, because I think that Adam, you'd know that you're writing a book, you're a bit scared by it. Because it's like, one, it's scared of the hard work, scared of the reaction. I mean, I've got over that with time now. I refuse to write thinking, what will he think about that? I'm just like, I don't care. I'm just going to write this the way that it should be, because I was a war cameraman for a long time. So I've seen a lot of things and been to a lot of places. So I base nearly everything that I make on a true situation, story, elements. I've been writing, and I had Nicolas Cage attached for a number of years on a film called The True Prophet, which is about a Mormon prophet back in the 70s and 80s who was creating carnage and killing people like crazy and whatever between the states. And I think for me, it's a story that needs to be told, but it's a true story. It's based on a true story because, I work for the BBC, so I'm driven by telling true stories and telling them well. So when I sit down to do it, I feel that I'm honoring what had happened, but also I fictionalize the heck out of them just to make it a better story. And I think, that's the beauty about it. But it's, I think we all have to agree that you're scared when you're doing these things, and you have to be a little bit scared because it makes it, okay. But, how cool is it to be able to make things?
Yeah.
I love my wife to death. She's amazing. She's great. But she sits in front of Excel spreadsheets every day and does it. I'm sure she does it better than anybody else in the world, but I don't want to watch it. I don't want to look at it, but I'll be very happy to invite her to one of my films and I'll play them in the Champs-Élysées. So it's just, I always look at that as well. It's like I don't like to use the word lucky, because when people say to me, oh, Scott, you're so lucky. I'm like, really? I think it's a lot of really, really hard work and putting yourself where people won't go, which makes us lucky, but also really quite cool.
So says you. Yes.
Yeah. You're the coolest person I know, Stephen. Come on.
I'm kind of curious on the just to switch it up slightly here. I'm curious on the actual business side, or I'm going to use the word ecosystem, and you can change it, please, and let me know how you'd like to address. But like, you have an ecosystem really of film festivals that you've some that have been being run for longer. I believe you said over 20 years. Some that you've recently started. What do you attribute some of that success to in that ecosystem of like festivals that you built? And I ask because, some stick around for a couple years, some are gone, some are, and nothing against those organizers, and a thousand different stories behind them. But I'm interested in the success part and how you're able to keep that going.
Well, for a start, I'd love the fact if there was money coming in, because there's not, because I'm a stupid film director, so I don't have the business sense of it. But I just firmly believe in what we do. And again, I shouldn't be here. I was a war cameraman. I was underneath the Twin Towers when they fell down in New York City. I was bombed by Russian bombers in Chechnya. I shouldn't be here. So I'm like running there going, wow, let's do this. And I strongly believe in what I do. I love it. I think the people that are around me think I'm as crazy as anything. But the financial model isn't, I know a lot of film festivals that get a lot of money and they do this, but I don't think they have the soul of what we do. And I think Stephen can attest to this. We're Filmmakers Film Festival, and we have no money. We can't fly anybody in. We can't do this. But out of the 70 films that we played this year at ECU, 39 people flew in.
Wow.
I get phone calls.
So it's like a tribe. It's a tribe of people that have kind of tapped into this energy, tapped into the heart of this. The soul is the word you use, and I agree with. And I sense that, by the way, because I've been to a ton of festivals, and not all of them have a soul. Some of them have, you can tell some money behind it, some sponsors, but not all of them have a soul. And I get that. I was shocked when you said you watched the films, because I was like, wow, that was just right there alone for a filmmaker to spend all this time, and then to have and I'll use the word, the honor of having somebody who's been doing this for long enough to actually see their film, even if it doesn't make it, but to know that it was watched, like, that's amazing.
It's extremely rare for the head of the festival to watch films. Most heads will go, "Oh no, I don't watch any films.
Yeah.
I let my committee decide." Yes. And I think that's, I realize there's a lot of work involved, but there's a lot of work involved in making the film. And to have the honor of at least getting the decision maker, the head of the festival, to watch your film, even if they watch 5 minutes and go, "Ooh, this is terrible," and then turn it off. It doesn't matter. But to at least have that option, that
and it's respect.
Attention. It's respect.
Because I have to respect any of them, and some of them are rubbish. So there's absolutely no doubt about that. But you've got to honor. If somebody pays you to buy a packet of candy, you've got to give them that bucket of candy. And I watch it again. I get a lot of ideas from it, and I love it. Business side, I make no money out of it. There's all. But here's the other thing that I do, and Stephen knows this well, is the people that have been in the festival help me judge for the next year's selection.
Oh.
And the ones that win it are in the jury room the next year.
Is that common, or is that because I don't know?
Have you
ever seen it? That sounds really smart.
Because when you're in the jury room, the guys that have been there for years, they see a new person come in, and I say, "This is the director of Piggy," and they go, "Oh wow, I love that film!" Yeah. And then they come in and they're part of it because they know. I know that they know what it's taken to get there, and so when we go around the table and they bust me completely, they break me, the jury, because they're like, "I like this one, this," but I have to respect what they do because I know them all. I know their films. I've watched their films over the years. Stephen knows this, and it's just like, bang, and there's this. They're judging their peers, even though 2 years ago or 3 years ago they were making their film, and I love it because it's like they know I've got no money. They know it's not a financial thing coming out of it. But it's the belief. And
they must love it too, by the way, just to be part of it. Like, and that makes sense for the community and the tribe and everything that's built, like that stickiness of it. They must.
And what you find is that what I have found is that there's no competition. People admire another director's film, knowing what it took to get it to the screen, knowing that, they got it to the screen and they got it into the festival and they won. They know that, how difficult that is. And no one is jealous of that. It's like, I've been to festivals where I've lost, right? And I'm like, congratulate the other filmmaker. Well done. I mean, it's a community. It's not a competition. And the
And
jury
also,
room shows that. It's, you know,
yeah, sometimes they make decisions that I can't even bear to think of, but they do it. But what the thing that I do at the festival, and we've done it ever since, and I get a lot of festivals, but there's no barrier. If you want to go and talk to the director whose film you've just seen and you hated it, you can go up to them and tell them. Or if you loved it, you talk to them, because we love nothing more than talking about our films. That's the opposite of, being riven by self-doubt, is when somebody actually wants to come and say, oh, I like Flytrap. Oh, that was amazing. I understood that. And you go, oh, so there's no boundary for us.
Yeah.
It's just like, we're all here. So
yeah, I could actually tell you an interesting story about that. My film Heads and Tails, which, by the way, Scott, I'm doing a 4K restoration. I transferred the film, so
nice.
Your film channel will be getting a new version of it early next year. My Heads and Tails is a very, very American movie. There's a lot of violence, there's swearing, but there's a reason for it. It's about what's worse, what people say or what they do. Right. And I think what they do is certainly much worse than what they say. Anyway, the one person in the world who got the film on a deeper level than anyone else was at the festival in 2005. Do you remember this guy? He directed that film, I think, that won the European award, about the woman and the young boy in the hotel room. He was this guy had the perfect pedigree for a film director. His father was Russian and his mother was Italian.
There you go.
And he wore these little Trotsky glasses, and he was absolutely the most interesting guy I've ever met. After Heads and Tails, the screen, he came out and he said 2 sentences to me, and I realized he got it on a deeper level than anyone else. A Russian-Italian guy got this indie American movie, and that's sort of the international nature of storytelling, right? Is that you can get that kind of reaction that you wouldn't normally get.
Yeah.
But I always remember that moment. I go, wow, it's like sometimes you don't know who's going to get it.
Who's going to get it? Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking on, let's stay on that note. Steven, Scott, like any films you're working on right now, let's do some updates. What's going on in your world?
Steven, I'll give it up to you.
Okay. Well, I'm in post on Appleseed, which is I can't say too much at this point.
I know. I just keep on. I had to try.
Yeah, I know. No, that's
we don't
fine.
want to hold on. We don't want to let the pressure or whatever. Like,
no, I have a producer and a distributor who are keeping a lid on it. So until we release it, it's loosely based on an American legend of this guy named Johnny Appleseed.
Wonderful. All right.
But it's a very twisted take because everything I do is twisted. So.
How I know that. Like, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and then you'll be hearing. We'll talk next year, Scott, about Appleseed. And I'm casting another film called Spider Seeds. I have most of the cast together. It's just a coincidence that it's Appleseed and then Spider Seeds.
I was gonna say, like, what? Like,
coincidence.
Going for his CD era. Yes,
yeah, exactly. It's and
like
that's
spiders, fly trap. He sticks on a theme for a little while. I don't know.
It's the universe is dictating the terms to me. I don't
believe
know.
this. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, but that one has name actors attached, and we get cast one more role that triggers the money. And that's a really interesting psychological thriller. It's based on an acclaimed Canadian horror novel by a guy named David Talker. And so there's that. And I have some other stuff with some interest, but I always have other stuff with some interest. We'll see where that goes.
we always have those things in our back pocket. Right?
Exactly right. There's always, So that's
awesome. What's going on in your world, Scott? Festivals or otherwise?
The festivals are, it's my little baby, and I love all 4 of them, which is great. I was in Cannes this year. I've been going there for 17 years. Mostly unsuccessful. This time I was working for Universal Pictures. I directed a heap of publicity stuff with Vin Diesel, which was very cool, very interesting. And then I went back down. I was invited randomly, and our life, as you know, Stephen, is all about randomness and craziness and often stupidity. But I went to a meeting, and after this is my 17th Cannes, I actually walked away going, oh, so this could happen. So I'm now working with a company, a US company, who, let me tell you the line, turning charitable giving into cinematic impact. Now that's a big thing, actually, because these guys were like, we don't find you money, but when you find somebody, a company, and a person or whatever, that has money tagged to go to pay their tax bill, we'll put it through a charity, And you can take and they can invest in your film. So why give the money away in tax when they can invest in a film? Socially impactful is what they're looking for. And so if any of your listeners or viewers are interested in that, please reach out and find me. But it's an incredible thing because they've got literally people, societies, companies, whatever, have billions of dollars earmarked for tax where they could be actually helping to help make great stories, independent stories. So I've got 4 at the moment. Like Stephen, we've always got something in our back pocket. My True Profit story, I think, is an intellectual, dramatic, slasher, whatever film that brings home the impact of what cults do. Cults and people that get easily led. And again, I had Nicolas Cage attached for 5 years for that. My main investor's wife woke up about 3 years into the project and said she had a bad dream, so they pulled their money out, and I had to say goodbye to Nicolas Cage. That was a tricky one, but I still keep it around because I believe it's a great story, and I think I can tell it well. There's one person in the world that was the first, and we all like firsts. And there's a person in the 50s in France that had the first ever 6 Michelin stars, 2 3-star restaurants. It was a female chef. And one of the chefs that was there was Paul Bocuse. He was wounded in World War II, which I didn't know. I'm not very clever. I've read a lot of books. I did not know this. So I'm working on this. I've got, Tom Holland and Sophie Marceau. But again, we're always challenged. Independent filmmakers are always challenged for money. But now I've got a model that works, and again, it's all legal, it's all legit. We're not talking about our Nigerian brothers who are out there for as many naira as they could get. This is all legit. Philanthropy, helping tell great cinematic stories is what we're working on at the moment. So that's the money side of it. And then, I've got 2 or 3 back burners as well. Just, we talk about it at ECU as like, everyone says, what's your theme? Because there's so many film festivals that have a theme. And you know what? Our theme is very, very simple. Tell me a good story and tell it well. And I don't care whether it's a 1-minute story shot on an iPhone. If you can get my attention and make my world feel better for that, do it. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to tell stories and tell them well.
Man, I love it. This has been great, fellas. I've really enjoyed it. I learned a bunch about the film side of things. I got a new appreciation for what it takes to get these things on screen. That being said, I'll give you 2 the final words. If somebody wants to follow up, learn more, connect with the festivals, in your case, Scott, Steven, see your work, or otherwise follow on social, where can people connect? I'll let you two take it off.
It's always hard to follow Stephen David Brooks, but I'll follow you. You go for it first, big guy.
Okay. The main place is my website, stephendavidbrooks.com. And you can spell Stephen with a PH or a V. They both go to my website and they show my work with links to my IMDb page and Instagram, and all that are all on stephendavidbrooks.com.
And one of the storytellers of our generation is young Miss Stephen David Brooks. I always do the PH, by the way. ECU Film Festival, ecufilmfestival.com. It'll lead you onto our channel. It'll lead you onto the film festivals. We're going to be in Mexico 14th, 15th, 16th of August. Come on down. I promise you a great opening speech, Stephen, if you ever come down. We're just trying to make the world a better place, one independent film at a time. It's as simple as that. And I don't mean that in any weird whatever sense, because I make them and they're really hard to do. But when you can see them and you can walk out and think about things, because I've got a lot of my kids who are watching TikTok videos here and they spend their days and nights on them and they can't tell you what it means afterwards. Go to the European Independent Film Channel and watch a film called Deja Nu, Deja Nu, and tell me if you've ever seen anything like it in your life, because I never have. And also just this one other thing, and if you do have independent filmmakers watching this, or producers or whatever, I am working with a company who can actually help get people who are interested in investing money that would otherwise go to the tax man. Come on, let us tell some stories. Get on set with some famous, not so famous actors. Sometimes the not so famous actors are actually much more fun. Come and get on set, get your family and kids in the film, come to film festivals. If you invest enough money, you come to Cannes with us as well. But let's just keep telling stories, everybody. And I think what's happening with Christopher Nolan, I know him this much, but I know him to be a great storyteller. And I think that he's just proved right now, telling a 3,000-year story and telling it well. It's getting people, droves of people going to cinema. And that's what I want to do, is just get people getting in and listening to stories and talking about them, and not and feeling positive about the world and positive about themselves. Actually, I think positivity within yourself actually brings that positivity on a bigger scale. And I think a good story, well told, does that.
And I think for me, most importantly, is making people feel like they're part of a world community where we all have our humanity in common. And the things that divide us are really not as important as the things that unite us.
Yeah.
And you can tell that through a great story.
And also, 2 hours locked in a dark room with a heap of other people watching a story. And, you can be the most disparate groups ever. And what a pleasure. That sort of brings us back together and not sitting on your phone and doing stuff like that.
Love it, guys. This has been great. And for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so that you can connect with both Stephen and Scott. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters or listening to our All Things Indie segment, where each and every month we take you through all things indie, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. You heard me correct. Mission Matters goes out each and every day, and we don't want you to miss a single episode. So hit that subscribe or follow button. And gentlemen, thanks again for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Adam,
Good to see you, Scott.
You're a champion, mate. And Stephen, what a god. Okay, thanks very much, guys. Ciao, ciao.